Previously, we looked at how Pause builds their trailers. Today we'll speak to a Victron expert.
We can drive it with a semi and it will not smash.
It's really fun to see the trailer like this.
This Brian from Solar Energy, which Victron actually comes to him to ask him questions about how to do some stuff.
Oh, really?
So they come to him for advice because he's that good at it.
So we're officially at the Pause factory. Super excited about doing this walkthrough and tour with Maynard. You want to introduce yourself? I know people already kind of know who you are, but...
I'm the operations manager and product manager of the Pause line here at Palomino.
Yes, and
Brian, I'm with Solar Energy Systems, and we've been doing solar for RVs for 17 years. So solar, batteries, lithium, inverter setups, etc.
And you were saying that you probably do about 3 to 4 major overhaul or retrofits to consumer trailers per week.
Yeah, a lot of them have under 50 miles, so they come from the factory and we remove everything that they have and start over with putting double inverters in, so they can run everything, all 3 air conditioners.
Nice. And
there's a lot of I'm living in my RV, I want to work from my RV.
Do you typically go with Battleborn, Victron? Is that kind of the main stuff that you work with, or
Battleborn and then our own brand Elevation.
Okay, and then a Victron, is that your preferred
Absolutely.
components? Okay.
1 is product availability, 2 is tech support, and 3 is we can change settings and options. And if we don't like what we've got, for one OEM, we just got hold of the Victron owner in the Netherlands, and in the 7 days had a setting changed inside the inverter that doesn't exist anywhere else in the world.
Oh wow!
So you have contact with the actual owner of the company?
Yes, Matthias.
Where we can.
Oh wow!
So it's pretty huge for a Victron system.
Yeah.
Where he has that type of relationship, we can do stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what he was telling us about you yesterday. That when Victron came actually to do some training, you were helping.
Yeah, in about 2 weeks you'll have a video posted from Victron that we did an RV. So they flew over from the UK to video an RV. So it's really exciting. We're really excited about Victron. And through all of COVID, product shortages, we had only 2 items in a couple weeks out, but that's it.
Oh wow!
So nothing. We just absolutely love the customer support, product support, and product knowledge and training. So we're all about training.
Yeah.
But that's one good thing that they can provide for us too, because on the side of their boards, there's their 1-800 number where they have a technical service team where the customer can actually directly call them to troubleshoot their unit.
That's awesome.
If there's something wrong. And if the coach is connected to Wi-Fi, they can remote in and detect any issues or any error codes or anything like that.
That's cool.
There's an SD card, correctly?
Yeah.
Stores up error codes up to 7.
Yeah, let's look at the system.
Yeah, so this is the system that comes on the Pause.
So this is a double system. This is what it looks like in your coach.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like spread out, so you can see everything, how it works. So on the side, it's hard to see, but on the side is a serial number, as well as our tech support by email and phone number, so you can get a hold of us there. And as long as we have that serial number, we can log into this. If it says Wi-Fi, we can log in here and see what's going on.
Remotely.
Yes.
Anywhere in the globe,
World.
I suppose. Anywhere in the world.
Yes, as long as this guy is connected to internet, and this guy, this Turbo, that's how it connects. So as long as the Wi-Fi Ranger has internet, this has internet, and we can see how it's performing, and we can show that as well. But the coolest thing is we can change settings for you as you're traveling if you need to.
Oh wow!
So if you're saying, hey, I'm struggling with an issue here, I don't understand that, we can dive into, okay, it's user error, or no, it's actually system error, and we can change settings for you. Or if you want to tweak settings, we can do that too.
Okay, that's
so
really cool.
It's really, really fun. We don't have to change settings because of a lot of problems. We change settings because I want my system work this way, you want to work your way, and he wants it his way. And that's totally fine. We just change setting that on the fly.
And Victron's so customizable that that's kind of how it goes. So what's the purpose of the SD card again?
So this device is called a Servo. This is like a router that communicates to all the rest of the equipment, and then this transmits it to the Garmin display. So this component saves the data for somewhere around 7 days only.
Okay. On
the side is an SD card, and this SD card now allows this system to save it for approximately 7 years.
Oh wow!
And in that 7 years, as long as it connects, let's say once a year to Wi-Fi, it backs up the data. So if you're overlanding and you're out where there's no internet, not a problem. When you get to a free Wi-Fi hotspot or whatever, it'll backload all the information so we can see what's going on.
Okay. Perfect.
So Why is that exciting? Because we can detect any potential issues, or if last week you had an issue, we can see exactly what happened. Were you plugging a short power? What was your usage? Do you have a power issue in the coach? Were you running too many electric heaters? Things like that.
Oh wow, that's super
So we
cool.
can see all that when you turn it on. And one of the cool features is this inverter has what's called power assist. So what is power assist? So this inverter is 3,000 watt, and there's room for a second one here giving you 6,000 if you want that option. But in the past, if you had a 2,000 watt generator, the 2,000 watt would pass through, but you couldn't run your air conditioner or microwave. You would just charge your batteries.
Okay.
So the power assist would watch the energy in your coach, and if you choose 30 amp, that's 3,000 watts in your RV. But if you're running a 2,000 watt generator because you need more power than the sun or batteries can provide, you can start the generator, and if you still need watts, we have a 2,000 watt generator, the inverter will see that, stop charging the battery, and start taking power out of the battery to give the coach 3,000 watts at all times.
Okay. So you can almost it's because usually in most standard systems, when you fire up the generator, if you're trying to pull more wattage than the generator has, you blow a breaker, or the generator will shut off.
You pop the generator, pop out fuse or whatever.
Yeah.
In this case, if you have it programmed correctly, so I'll use an assumption. So a coach needs 30 amp, my generator has 15 amp. I'm running a Honda.
Yeah.
This guy says, okay, I'm running 20 amps, so I can use 15 from the generator, but I won't use more than 15 because I'll blow the circuit breaker. So I'll just take 5 from the battery and put it into the coach.
Yeah, that's really
So
cool.
and it'll go back and forth really fast. And as long as you have your input amps adjusted correctly to the size generator or short breaker, that in the past history of using Victron, we have yet to blow a generator breaker.
And that's all controlled by the
Because
Garmin, right? We have a portion of the Garmin where
Where you can adjust the
adjust
amps
the
that is
we're
pulling.
in.
Yeah. No, it's funny. It's because we people don't realize or always understand these things, because we've sold other trailers in the past, and people are like, I'm firing up my generator and it keeps on blowing, and we tell them, well, you have to go to your breaker panel and shut off the inverter or shut off something, right? Because it's pulling too much power to the batteries and too much power to the AC.
Why did we choose Victron? Shane told me it's the best on the market, and we wanted the best of the best.
That's a good that's a good reason. You agree?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So somebody agrees. So that's it. Well, and it's because of these things that you're talking about, right? All of this ability to customize.
But when I talked to you, you said that this is a brand that's recognized among your buyers. A lot of the Overland people recognize this system, and they really love it. So.
And worldwide, I think worldwide it's recognized as one of, if not the best.
And, that's weird, because I research and look at a lot of stuff, but you see a lot of Victron out there.
Oh yeah.
You see very little of anything, especially anybody that's doing any serious overlanding. Their vehicles always have a Victron system on it.
It's a really cool thing out of the box. They function, but if you have an advanced user, wants all kinds of different settings in them. So it's for someone that's just getting started, and then someone that's a senior that wants to have all kinds of settings. So it works for anybody in between there. So you don't have to change all kinds of settings just to get it to work. No, out of the box they function, but you can add all kinds of. And if someone is into programming with Node-RED and Raspberry Pis, yes, you can connect that and have it do
all your little.
Do some more things.
Well, and I think that's what's really cool about this system is, from our experience, as far as user interface goes, it's simple, it's easy. A brand new novice that's never even worked any of this stuff, it's very intuitive and easy for them to work it. But then you go crazy, those guys that are nerds that want to get into the, get deep inside, they're happy too, because it has that full range. And some inverter systems out there are just.
So here's an interesting thing. So the inverters are tested being 120 volts, right? So when we started working with Maynard, he said, well, what if we test it to 1,000 volts? And I called my Victron rep and he said, well, go ahead and try to blow it up. If you can, we'll replace it. And it would never blew up at 1,000 volts.
Wow.
So it's a good product.
It's a good product. and a lot of, I think, prior to the RV and overlanding industry, this was been really put more in yachts and marine. And I always tell people, listen, when you're in the middle of the ocean, you can't have things failing on you because that's a matter of life and death, right? And I'm like, so it's a testament.
But wouldn't you agree with me, Brian, though, even though it's a big complex system, if the consumer doesn't want to mess with anything, he really doesn't have to.
No.
It's designed in such a way where we install it and you can forget about it.
So if the customer ever would choose to add on the generator with automatic start, already has automatic start built in. It's just a matter of running 2 wires to the generator to start it and then program it.
Oh, so auto gen start.
Yeah. So if you have a
Something that's doable that
Yeah.
could be added on.
the 2,000 watts don't have an internal battery in the generator, so you can't auto start 2,000. But like a 3,000 larger have an internal battery, so you can auto start 3,000. So if a customer wants to, yeah, you can have it auto start based on overload.
But in our conversation the other day, you recommend a 3,000 watt generator for our units.
Yeah.
Because then that way you're actually putting a charge into the batteries also while you're utilizing the generator.
Yeah.
And it can be auto started. So
Yeah.
So
That's really cool.
so for the best customer experience, a 3,000 watt generator would be recommended.
Yeah, that's what we
to-
would recommend.
to-
30 or just a 34, 3500.
So a couple things I want to point out is on the Lynx distributors, this is more than just a junction box. There's also a fuse holders in here.
Okay.
So if any fuse should blow, these lights will light up to give you an idea which fuses has blown.
Well, tell us what these things are really quick and kind
So
of
from the ground up, you've got your batteries, and the batteries do have a internal heater in there. So
Okay.
they will heat on their own based on outside temperature, and you should always run your generator by state, or always run your batteries by state of charge, not just by voltage. Because if you're looking at voltage, 12 volts could be high, could be low.
Yeah.
But state of charge will tell you exactly, and this is all based on state of charge, which is why that's what the shunt's doing. So we've got batteries runs to the shunt. That's the first point of contact. Inside here is an 800 amp fuse. So
Unlike those fuses, if those blow, they can purchase them at an auto parts store, or where do they purchase additional fuses?
they can, yeah, it's an 8L fuse, so it's 800 amp. But if you can't, you can always connect with us, or Maynard, they can get you one. But you've got a fuse in here, and it runs into here for, this is a distribution panel as well as a fuse holder. So we've got each here's your inverter contact, here's your solar panels, and this is all fused. But should anyone ever blow, you'd have these lights will turn red for you. So you've got your power flowing into here, all fused, and then this runs out to the battery protect. So this is going to protect your DC loads.
Okay.
And when the battery gets to a certain state of charge, when it gets too low, all the DC loads will disconnect first.
Okay.
And if it's still too much, drawing down too fast, and the battery's getting close to depletion, then the inverter itself will shut down,
Okay.
so that the batteries will always stay alive.
Okay.
And your Garmin has a bypass on here, so that if it gets too low, but you still need to use the airbags or something just to hook up, you'll still have the emergency power in the batteries.
To be able to do that.
That's why these shut down intentionally. And you have got, there's a built-in timer on the Garmin portal. You can get 10-15 minutes of extra power just to get hooked up into the next spot.
That's really cool.
And then you've got your 2 solar controllers. So you've got the roof and the auxiliary, which is the outside solar panel. So these are 2 different controllers. Why do we use 2 of them? So that when you disconnect the outside one, there's no arcing or anything because the roof is still working.
Yeah.
So
okay. That's really cool. Explain what a shunt is.
This is a Lynx shunt. So what is a shunt? If your battery, in this case, you've got 540 amp hours for 2 batteries. So where do we know what state of charge you're at? If we've consumed 270 amp hours, so 270 minus 540 is 50%. The shunt keeps track of every amp used and charged.
Okay.
So it's like a measuring device, and it measures, so you know exactly what percentage your batteries are at. So if you have these devices, the inverter and this battery protect are programmed by state of charge. So if it's at 30%, it disconnects. How's it at 30%? The shunt's doing it.
And this is going to be able to monitor like almost on the fly, right? Where you're going to be able to, like, if you turn on a light, it's immediately going to start telling you, like, you're losing this much power.
Yes.
And a lot of trailers, you don't, well, almost, there's no too many stock trailers on the market that come with anything like this to be able to. Usually you're just looking at dots, actually, right? Sometimes the voltage meter, if you're lucky.
The only thing to keep in mind, if you do add more batteries down the road, this does have to get reprogrammed, so it knows how many batteries you've got.
Okay. That's
but
good
it's
to know.
very simple to do. But if end user does not understand how to do that, well, guess what? Here's our contact information on the side. Contact tech support. We can jump in if you're on Wi-Fi. We can jump in, change that setting for you in 2 minutes.
And you don't even have to deal with it.
Yes.
That's really, really cool. So we got 2 solar charge controllers. One is for the roof solar, and then the other one is for the briefcase if you were to option out for having the briefcase
That
solar.
were max. Well,
And
because
it-
we offer 2 300 briefcases, so another 600 watts of solar on the side.
So total 1,200 watts on the Palomino. And this is kind of showing everything that this would be on the outside of the trailer.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be on the outside, and then on the roof would have one as well.
Okay. Oh yeah, because you have the solar panels going to the roof. I like how this is all laid out nicely.
Well, this is what we have in the trailer, and we just laid it out to the side so we could actually see. Okay, this wire goes from here to here. Because if you're looking here, it's hard to see where this wire is going.
Yeah, yeah,
It
for
goes
sure.
behind. But we got to lay it out here. Now you can see this wire goes from here to here, so you can trace it.
I have a quick question for people that are watching. So we have a. You want to explain the benefit of because you said we could add a 3,000 watt inverter.
Yes.
If you wanted to explain the benefit of that versus what it comes.
Yeah, so there's two benefits, two main benefits to adding a second inverter. One is you have more power. So why is more power needed? If you don't conserve power, you have the microwave running, you've got the air conditioner running, and you may have a curling iron, something like that. You're going to overload the inverter. That's about 4,000 watts. The inverter is 3,000. So what would happen in that case? The inverter would just say, hey, you're using too much power. I'm going to shut down until you shut something off. Then you have to just reset it. It doesn't ruin anything.
Yeah.
Having a second inverter would allow you to run the extra things that you want to run temporarily without having that overload.
Okay.
And then the second awesome thing about that is these inverters it's really easy to read these. These are 12 volt, 3,120 amp chargers. So by having a second inverter, you would be able to charge your battery twice as fast. So if you're in a hurry, you're going to a 50 amp plug, you want to keep moving, you would your charge time would be cut in half.
It's just like if you ever have family guests, ladies, friends, and you plug in 3 blow dryers in the bathroom to blow dry your hair all at the same time, you're going to blow the breaker. This will do one. And your microwave, but you do too many, you're just going to blow the breakers. And then charging it really fast, so you would have to find a 50 amp plug, right?
Yeah. So this inverter is actually smart enough. It wouldn't blow a breaker.
Yeah.
It would just overload.
Okay.
Literally overload. And on the display, you just hit reset and it just resets it.
Okay.
It's going to keep trying. As long as you hit reset, it's going to keep trying, but you have to unplug it.
Okay.
It won't actually blow a breaker, so it's really smart.
So it's smarter than your house. Actually.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Dumb house, smart trailer, right? That's very cool. But you're gonna a 30 amp. Like if you're at a campground, you pull into a KOA and you're plugging into a 30 amp. You're only going to be able to at what state will this be able to charge your batteries, or how fast?
So we're talking. This is 120 amp DC, not AC.
Yeah.
So 3,000 watts, for example, is 25 amps AC. So if you plug in the shore power, a 30 amp breaker, you can actually use the 30 amp because it's only 25 amp in here. That's why if you use a second inverter, you can charge faster.
Twice as fast.
But the other benefit, if you're going to use a generator to charge a battery, because you got a week worth of rainy weather, the generator would only have to run half the hours because you have double the charger.
That makes sense. So you're going to consume fuel, which will be a big deal.
Yes.
Less fuel if you have the 2.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like consume less fuel.
Because it's going to depend on your usage. It's set up that you can use a generator. It's not set up that you have to use a generator. It all depends on a person's needs. So your needs are different from my needs. I may be very conservative. I'm only run the refrigerator the whole month. But you may have to run the air conditioner and everything else. It's just personal needs.
Yeah.
But I know from my personal experience where I've camped, and I camped in where there's no electrical hookup, and there were other campers around me, so I ran a generator. But it comes nightfall, they want you to shut that generator off.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So if you're running a generator with 2 inverters, then you have the potential to have air conditioning all night because you got your batteries charged up. Yeah. And if you only ran it with 1, then you might get hot halfway through the night.
Yeah.
So here's what initially pushed us to start with Victron. So I have Mr. retired customer that he wants 30 amp or 50 amp service in the coach, but I want to visit my grandkids and my kids, and they only have a 15 amp outlet in the garage.
Just a little extension cord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can I run my air conditioner off of a small extension cord when my air conditioner has more load than the actual cord?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can, because this has got the power assist feature. So as that big load kicks on, it just draws from the battery until that load kicks off, and then charge the battery again. So yes, now retired customer can visit his kids and grandkids
And park in the driveway and plug in with a little teeny extension
just a
cord
regular
and be able
cord,
to
yeah.
run.
and not be a bother to the kids.
Yeah, because typically in most standard RVs, I've had RVs for years, and most of the time I'll plug into a little extension cord in my house, even to get ready for camping, right?
Right.
I'm like, it's
Just
summer,
to
it's
get your
hot.
refrigerator
I want to
cold
turn
and
on the
stuff.
refrigerator, turn on the AC as I'm packing my clothes, and I'm blowing the breaker in my house. Like every, the second the AC goes on, boom, blow the breaker. And so I have to like run it to a plug that I know can handle it, and usually it's just, it makes everything more difficult. So there's a setting where you can lower it down, and then you essentially are running your AC with the power that you can use from that little teeny outlet, and then the rest of it's coming from the batteries.
Yeah. So to walk through that, you plug into a 15 amp. The 15 amp starts flowing to the inverter. Inverter starts charging the battery. If that load in the trailer is in excess of 15 amps, it says, "Hey, batteries, I'm not going to charge you right now. I need it for the trailer." And then the charger stops. And then it says, "Okay, I'm over 15 amps. I'm going to take out of the battery." So the actual current from the shore would never go under or over 15 amp. It would stay there, but the trailer gets the power from the battery as is needed.
Yeah.
Which actually is a pretty cool feature.
No, it is.
It switches
very
in
cool.
milliseconds.
Yeah, and it knows.
And that's all built into it. You don't have to
Yes.
adjust any settings or anything.
And it doesn't just protect the trailer, but it protects the house
Well, it does.
of wherever
because
you're staying,
if you're
right?
trying to run an AC with just a regular SJ cord, you're going to get that wire hot.
Yeah, we'll get hot, which is potentially catch a fire.
Yeah.
It's dangerous, right?
So this is an extra safety feature for it.
Yeah, that's very, very cool. Oh, and what about solar? Say you're at your grandkid's house. You want to use their extension cord, but it's also sunny outside. How does that go into play for the whole system? At least power sharing. Are you're bringing in solar still to the batteries while you're plugged in
Yes.
and running an air conditioner?
So it'll primarily use the solar, and all the settings, keep in mind, all settings can be tweaked to whatever the customer wants. But currently the solar has priority. So it's going to use solar first and then the shore power.
Okay.
So if it's not enough sun, it'll use the shore power.
If you're actually plugged into their house and it's sunny outside and you're getting enough sun to use for all your power needs, you're not even going to be using their shore power necessarily.
Yeah, and it can even be tweaked. So if you're going to be in a campground where you have to pay for electricity, it can even be tweaked to where the inverter will only charge to 70 or 80%, and the solar has to take over.
Okay.
So that you don't pay for electricity.
Oh, that's really cool. So it's really the ability to customize this system is just unbelievable. As far as like warranty and issues and recalls, like failures, like what's your feelings with working with them?
So it's the least amount of warranty we've had among any inverter brands. But if you do have a failure or an issue, we're authorized Victron Service Center. So ship the product to us, we'll fix it, repair it, and ship it right back.
Okay.
So we've got a 24-hour turnaround for that, should that service be needed.
So if that inverter goes bad, you guys actually have the ability to fix the inverter.
Yeah, we have the circuit board in stock that we can fix it. If you're there on site, we just swap circuit board and send you on your way.
Oh wow, that's really cool.
So we're not just a supplier. We're in for the long
That's
haul.
part of the service that he provides for me too. If I have a customer comes back and he has an issue with the solar, we just send him directly to his facility and he fixes it on site at his facility.
Oh, that's really cool. Or you can get it shipped out pretty quickly, you said.
The warranty for Victron is 5 years. So there's a 5-year warranty that comes with the system. If you need additional, there are additional 10-year warranties you can purchase, but it has to be purchased within, I believe it's 12 months of initial RV purchase.
You said an additional how long?
5 years.
5. So you could have a 10-year
Yes.
warranty on that. That's pretty astonishing. Is because I don't know of any other inverter out there. Usually it seems like a year is like 2 years is gold standard maybe. Like that's the best. So 5 years on this entire system for the pause, and that's another good reason why you went with them, right?
Yep.
There's a chemical makeup that makes it plastic, right?
Yeah.
So I want my chemistry listing in there.
Yeah.
So a lot of the components that we get made, we can drive over with a semi and it will not smash.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
and it won't deteriorate in sunlight. So that's the big deal. So
Because you at first glance you might say, oh, that's like half the price, let's go with that one, but it's because they're just
Yes.
using a less superior. Okay,
Yeah.
it's really interesting.
So here's your DC to DC charger. If you wanted to do a DC to DC charger, you actually would have room to pop that.
Right there.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So,
That's a good spot for it.
and it's also, you can.
So explain to us in the simplest terms what a DC to DC charger is.
The numbers right here indicate 12 volts input, 12 volts output at 30 amps. So what does this really mean? If your truck has a lead acid battery and it's charging at, let's assume 13.5 volts, but this battery wants 14.6. So how do we make that jump up? What this does, it takes the 12 or 13 volts, whatever it's getting, and increases it to 14.6 to the output.
Okay.
So it increases the voltage, so you can take a lead acid battery charger from the truck and you can charge your RV with.
So this is saying that once you hook up your truck, as you're driving, your truck battery, your truck alternator is going to send power back and charge these.
At the rate they should be charged, not what the truck's getting charged.
Okay.
And when you when you turn the engine off, it doesn't flow backwards. So the trailer won't charge the truck going backwards.
Okay. Well, so in a standard trailer, how does it work differently? Like a standard run-of-the-mill American-made trailer, you have a 7-pin. How is that going to be operating differently than this?
Let's look at what's really happening. So the alternator is probably charging at 14.2. And then there's power loss going to the cabling. And by the time it actually hits the battery, it's probably 13.8. So that charger, the battery on the RV is never getting fully charged. Maybe 80%, but never to 100%. Can't. It's not possible because of the loss of.
That teeny little, cable too, and then it's just not putting out.
Yeah, it's loss of voltage coming back.
So this brings your voltage back up where it's actually putting
Yeah,
up.
so it could come back even 11. We don't care what's coming back, but what's going out will be 14, 14.6, 14.4, whatever battery you have. In this case, it's 14.4. This should be charged up.
And how much? And what about like the amount of amperage that you can put into the battery while driving, like through this versus a little cable wire?
Okay, so the cable or wire is supposed to give you 30 amp, but it's also got 30 amp charger, 30 amp fuse in the truck.
Yeah.
Let's look at what's happening. So the truck has a lead acid battery that's 80. If you're lucky, 80% efficient. Most time it's 75% efficient. Lithium is 99% efficient. So where is the energy going to flow? The path of least resistance. So what's going to happen, if you have lithium on the trailer, the energy flows backward faster than the truck battery. So it's going to blow the 30 amp fuse because you have a 150 or 200 ordered in the truck. So you're going to blow the 30 amp fuse. It happens all the time when you put lithium in a trailer.
Yeah.
Now, it's not a problem. It's just the flow goes faster. So this actually stops it. So you could have 200 amps coming into here, and it's only going to pass 30 amps on.
Okay.
So it'll protect that 30 amp fuse.
Okay. So and this is 30 amp DC.
Yeah. And now if you want 120 amp, what do? You can just parallel these.
Okay.
And you could parallel these, and if you have a smaller truck today, then just turn 3 of them off and just use the one.
So is this 30 amps per hour, DC amps?
Yes.
Is that what it is? So as you're driving, you're not going to be charging these faster than 30
No.
DC amps.
To give you an idea, this has 540 amp hours, so 540 divided by 30 would tell you it's going to be quite a few hours.
Of driving before you're actually going to charge it.
But you can only use 18 or 30 amps on the 7-way pin. If you want 120 amps, you have to run like a number 2 cable back to the truck and have a second plug.
Wait, how much through the 7-way pin did you say?
No more than 30.
No more than 30.
No more than 30.
Okay.
Because it's a 10 gauge cable.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you were to do a heavier duty like those Anderson plugs.
Yes. Put an extra Anderson connector, and often we run like a number 2 cable, so that the current, you have lots of current by the time it gets to the trailer.
But you're going to run that just straight from the alternator or the battery back to the trailer.
Yeah.
And then it's going to go through this to actual charge you.
Yeah, and if you have, assuming you have 4 of them in parallel, you could have 120 amp charger. But you could also, if you need that part in the truck, just because you need it, you can turn 1 or 2 or 3 of them off, so it's only charging X current. But yeah, you just need an Anderson connector and a number 2 cable.
So I do have a question for you on solar before we go too much farther. We have how many watts on the roof?
600.
600 watts. And coming through this, what type of, I know it's going to be all over the place, but what's the maximum that you've seen locally here coming through that much wattage? How much power?
Well, it really depends on what time of year it is and what
Yeah.
the weather is at.
Yeah.
So, interesting point. Does Indiana or Florida produce more power in the summer months?
I'm guessing Indiana because this sounds like a trick question, and everybody's going to say Florida.
That is true. Indiana.
Okay.
So why? Well, you're not looking at sun hours. So what we need is how much sun is actually hitting the solar panel.
Okay.
In Florida, you have high heat and high humidity. What's humidity? Humidity is a water cloud.
Yeah.
So it's actually reflecting sunlight. And so what a solar panel, all solar panels are rated at getting 1,200 watts per square meter on the Earth. So any summer day, we might have 1,100 watts per meter square, and Florida might have 800
Okay.
because it's getting reflected. So even if you can't get as much power.
Yeah.
So it really depends on where you're traveling. If you're in a cold climate, there's no humidity, that panel will charge at a much higher rate.
Yeah.
If it's really hot out, panel will reduce power because it's hot. If it's humid, now you have less rays coming down.
Yeah.
So have we seen 600 watts off of a trailer we have, but when is when the sun's at 12 o'clock straight overhead in the summer.
Yeah.
Not in the winter because it's the sun's, our panel's flat and the sun's like this.
Yeah.
So we're losing some of the rays.
Yeah. So you're only really getting that wattage in a perfect moment,
Yeah.
right at noonday.
But it starts at 8 o'clock. So typically you would see maybe 20 amps at 8 o'clock, and it just keeps rising. As the daylight gets brighter, the wattage keeps going up until noon, peaks, and then starts going
and
the
it
other way.
starts dropping down. Yeah, for sure. And that's the benefit of having those briefcases, because you can.
You can move them around, or you can adjust the angle of them, or whatever.
So if you got 600 watts on the roof, don't be surprised if you don't see more than 500 coming off of it.
Yeah.
To get more than 500, the sun has to be at 12 o'clock position, and it must be overhead summer months, not winter months.
Yeah.
Even
yeah.
if you're in Arizona, the sun is still south, because the sun moves 67.5 degrees from summer to winter.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
What about Salt Lake City, Utah? You can get any sun there?
It's always sunny there. The sun is perfect always there.
Less humidity.
And there's not a lot of humidity.
Yeah.
And higher elevation, you tend to get a lot more wattage too.
Also less humidity and less dirt.
Yeah.
So it's just less stuff. There's actually a meter that you can measure the amount of sunlight hitting, like your hand, for example. And that tells you, so if you would typically get 1,200 watts per meter square, but if you have the sunlight meter and you point at the sun where you're standing, it says 500, then that panel will put out 300 watts.
Okay.
It's literally measurable.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
When I go up into the mountains, like at 8,000, 10,000, I get like really good solar. It's just like coming in, and that's the most I ever see my systems.
Because humidity
like,
drops.
Yeah.
Very low humidity up there.
Yeah. Okay, so is it the servo that goes directly to the Garmin?
Yeah, so this whole system is communicating to the servo.
Oh.
The servo saves information, but also sends it through the connector on the back to Garmin. So there's a physical connection, and it looks like a Cat5 cable on this end, which the connector is, but it's actually an NMEA 2000 cable
Okay.
that connects right to Garmin. So it's a physical connection, not just Wi-Fi.
Okay, and that cable is better than a Cat5?
It's the only cable that communicates NMEA and converts it over into CAN communication.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
You didn't realize that?
No, I don't even know what he said.
Yeah, I don't
Did he speak Chinese?
It's like Garmin talking Japanese and the servo talking English, and the cable is the converter.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So it's a translator.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's the only thing that can translate info. Okay. And this is truly like it's the smart trailer, right? It's the trailer of the future. And with all of this stuff, it just it feels like an unlimited ability to keep on doing and changing and adding things to it.
Right.
Making your fans automatic, and that's really cool. That's amazing.
Next thing we'll make the microwave cook your food automatically. Or
Oh
something.
yeah.
Take it out of the refrigerator to cook it.
Get a robot to like grab it and throw it in there. This is like trailering in style. That's really, really cool.
But it allows the customer to get away from home and not give up any comforts of the home.
Yeah.
To truly, have a home away from home.
Well, and I think a lot of people, we've had that where people like think, I'm going to get this camper and go out and relax and have a good time, and they realize that, man, trailering and camping is a lot of work, and it almost becomes like a
Well, That's why you have Victron for some of the programming, right? So I'll give you an idea of what our customers are doing with some of these extra relays that we can have. So the system knows all the battery information, knows the sun, and if you want it to, it can also know the local forecast.
Oh, wow.
All right. So if you're camping and the battery gets full at 11 a.m. and you're out hiking, why not cool or heat the trailer while you're hiking to save some power? You can do that.
Okay.
It's just programming.
Okay.
So you could have, I'm not going to turn the heater on, I'm not going to turn the furnace, or I'm not going to turn the air conditioner on because I'm leaving, right?
Yeah.
But the system can allow it to run if battery gets to X charge. It'll run that until it drops to this state of charge and it stops it again for you. So it's heating and cooling, and so you're consuming more sun power while the sun's out.
Yeah, if the sun is there, and you might as well use it.
So these are the things you can do, and it's simply just programming is really simple. It's just a matter of do you want it or don't you. We're not trying to overload you. It's just this is what's there. Whenever you want to use it, it's there.
That's really cool. That's really and like maybe even pets too, right?
Yeah.
Like
there you go.
Because a lot of people are concerned about their pets nowadays.
Yeah.
100%. They leave them back in the trailer.
yeah,
And you want to run your AC so you don't have to worry about it.
So now you know your temperature, and you could just remote in on the app. So this thing now has internet, right? You have internet, and you know the Garmin inside temperature. You could manually go in and turn from your app, turn your air conditioner or your furnace on so the pet is cool or hot.
yeah, comfortable.
Yeah. The other feature that's also available is you just add GPS to it, so it changes the clocks for you as you travel across time zone. It changes the clocks zones for you.
Okay, there you go. Well, if you have any questions, make some comments below, and we're not going to be able to answer them right here, but we can always reach out to Brian and Maynard and the team and get things answered. So, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. This has been very educational. I've learned a bunch of things, and we're super happy about having this system in the pause. It really is the best system on the market. So, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, really excited to be working with you.
Yeah, we are too, very much so.
And this is where it gets dangerous with a guy like this, because he'll come here and he'll say, hey, Daryl, remember this that was on the front of that? Yeah, I just want that in my pause unit. So we're that source, we're that company to come to.